Hi everybody, this is Johnny. I'm talking about Step 4 Apply in CalTPA's Cycle 1 assessment for multiple subject folks. And this one's all about application of what you learned. So directions, respond to the following prompts. You have two options for responding. So this could be a written narrative on the template provided, or you can do a video recording in which you verbally respond to each prompt. More importantly is you need to cite evidence from Step 1, 2, or 3. Now, if you're writing it, it's going to be easy enough to make sure you key into all of those things. If you're going to do a verbal response, you might want to have some notes in front of you so you can say exactly what evidence you have from steps 1 or 2 or 3. Now remember, step 1 was your plan. Step 3 was from your teaching. Step 1 was from your plan. Step 2 was from your teaching. And step 3 was reflecting on your teaching. So each one of those is prior, and you want to use those as the reference points for your application. So you can do either, but choose the one where you will be sure you can give the most evidence. From your plan, your video recordings of your teaching, from your reflection. Evidence is the most important requirement here. Students I've had in the past who've struggled with the CalTPA, it's almost always there was not enough evidence done in step 4. So I'm going to say that again. There was not enough evidence given in step 4. So hold on to that as you work this one. Explain what you would do next to advance the learning of the whole class of students. So a question, it's not asking you to do this. Do you need to reteach any part of the lesson? Explain why or why not. Okay, not asking you to do it, but you have to have a reason why. Choose something to make better. And the kinds of things you might choose to make better are the way you modeled something, how you organized the discussion, how you went about assessment, how you did your closure, could be how you set out expectations at the front of the lesson. So use the kinds of things that have been keys throughout this assessment, the CalTPA, to refer to in the work that you might do better. But give a good reason why with evidence. Based on what the whole class of students learned about the content you were teaching, what will you teach next? So not just the next expected lesson, based on what students showed you in the lesson, evidence from the video recording reflection, what should come next? Okay? And so you need to refer to artifacts about how kids responded to the learning, what kinds of things they understood well, which sets you up for the next lesson, what kinds of things they still have questions about or still working through that you might want to start the next lesson with. All right? And if you were to teach this lesson again, what would you do the same or differently to improve deep learning of the content? So this has two parts to it: deep learning of the content and academic language for the whole class. If they give you two things like this, you need to address each of them. The first one is referring to something that's a theme throughout CalTPA, which is higher order thinking. In my next lesson, in order to promote deeper learning of the subject, to encourage higher order thinking, you know where to go with that, right? So you need to have that piece in it. And then you also need to address this as well. In this lesson, in order to encourage the development of academic language competency, I will do this, this, and this. So remember, this next part, number 2, has 2 parts. And the other piece of it, with the 2 parts, is giving evidence why. Okay, and you don't have to talk about your focus students here, because you get a little bit of room here, just your whole student class, all right? So if there was something that came up with a higher order thinking question in your lesson, then you might talk about what you might do next. If there was something that came up in your lesson about kids' understanding of the academic language or their use of the academic language, then you say what you might do with that. So remember, part 2 has 2 parts at least. And with each of those, you need to give a reason why. Evidence, 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 evidence again. Right? And as I say here, I should probably put this whole box in red because it's so important. Be sure to cite evidence from your submission from step 1, step 2, or step 3. And they give you the notes about what those things are for each response. And the evidence to be submitted on this one is narrative, 3 pages if you're writing it, or 5 minutes of video. And as I said before, if you're doing video, set out some notes for yourself so that you hit these things. Okay? you have to, in your notes, you have to say, in the second video at 3 minutes and 15 seconds in, here's where kids were engaging in a discussion about something or another, and they were using this term. I could have refined that term with them so they could make better use of it, however it is, but you need to be using evidence along the way. So this is step 4, apply, and I hope it's been useful to you.